Hi, good day. I'm going to talk about case number 2, the preparation of audit adjustments and audited financial statements. From Chapter 18, the substantive tests of accounts in the statement of profit or loss and comprehensive income. The case is Jay's Corporation was incorporated on December 1, 2016 and began operations 1 week later. Before closing the books for the fiscal year ended November 30, 2017, Jay's controller prepared the following financial statements. Jay's Corporation is in the process of negotiating a loan for expansion purposes, and the bank has requested for audited financial statements. During the course of audit, the following informations or additional informations were obtained. Let us first go over with the first requirement, which is preparing the necessary correcting entries. The first additional information obtained was: to get the unrealized loss on trading securities, we have to deduct the 55,000 pesos of total market valuation from 60,000 pesos of marketable securities at cost shown in the statement of financial position. Then we'll get the unrealized loss on trading securities of 5,000 pesos. The necessary correcting entries would be a debit of unrealized loss on trading securities and a credit of allowance to reduce marketable securities to market. The second additional information would be, all we need to do is to reduce the allowance for doubtful accounts to balance determined by the aging of receivables. So we'll need to deduct the 36,000 pesos of uncollectible receivables from the 59,000 pesos of allowance for doubtful accounts stated in the financial position. Then we'll get a 23,000 pesos of allowance for doubtful accounts that is debited, and a credit of selling and administrative expenses for bad debts. The third additional information is shown above. All we need to do is to record a debit of inventories for 12,000 pesos and a credit of cost of sales for 12,000 pesos. For the fourth additional information, the necessary correcting entries would be a debit of prepaid insurance for 3,000 pesos and a credit of selling and administrative expenses for insurances for 3,000 pesos. For the fifth additional information, we'll need to get the pension expense. So to get the pension expense, we'll need to multiply the estimated accrued pension expense for the first 12 months of 45,000 pesos by 6/12, and we'll get a pension expense of 22,500. The necessary correcting entries for this is a debit of selling and administrative expense for pension and a credit of accounts payable and accrued expenses. For the sixth additional information, we will need to record a debit of PPE for 24,000 pesos and a credit of cost of sales for repairs and maintenance for 24,000 pesos. And also, we need to get the depreciation expense. So to get the depreciation expense, we will need to multiply 24,000 pesos by 20%, and that would result to 4,800 pesos. 4,800 pesos will be multiplied by 6/12, and that would result to 2,400 pesos. So the necessary entries would be a debit of depreciation expense for 2,400 and a credit of accumulated depreciation for 2,400. For the seventh additional information, it is mentioned that Jay initiated a 5-year amortization of the 150,000 total cost during the fiscal year ended November 30, 2017. So 150,000 will be multiplied by 48/60. 48 is from the remaining amortization period, which is 12 months times 4 years, and 60 is from the whole amortization period, which is 5 years times 12 months. So 150,000 times 48 over 60 is equal to 120,000 pesos. So the necessary correcting entries would be research and development expenses, debit, and a credit of research and development costs. For the 8 additional information, we only need to record a debit of estimated loss from lawsuit of 50,000 pesos and a credit of estimated liability from lawsuit of 50,000 pesos. For the last additional information, we need to get the income tax expense. So here's an illustration on how to get the adjustment to reduce income tax expense. The illustration shows unadjusted income before income taxes of 560,000 pesos, which was shown from the statement of income. The adjustments increasing income from the correcting entries were added to the unadjusted income before income taxes. Reduction in allowance for doubtful accounts, 23,000 pesos, is from the second correcting entry. Work in process inventory at outside processor, 12,000 pesos, is from the third correcting entry. Recognition of prepaid insurance, 3,000 pesos, is from the fourth correcting entry. And reversal of June 1, 2017 charge to repairs and maintenance, 24,000 pesos, is from the sixth additional or correcting entries. Adding all four will result to 62,000 pesos and will be added to the unadjusted income before income taxes of 560,000 pesos. So 560,000 pesos plus 62,000 pesos is equal to 622,000 pesos. Adjustments decreasing income from correcting entries will be deducted from the sum of unadjusted income before income taxes and adjustments increasing income, which is 622,000 pesos. Unrealized loss on trading securities, 5,000 pesos, is from the first correcting entry. Pension expense, 22,500 pesos, is from the fifth correcting entry. Depreciation on machine purchased on June 1, 2017, 2,400 pesos, is from the sixth correcting entry. Research and development expense, 120,000 pesos, is from the seventh correcting entry. Estimated loss from lawsuit, 50,000 pesos, is from the eighth correcting entry. Adding all five will result to 199,900 pesos. The sum of unadjusted income before income taxes and the total adjustments increasing income of 622,000 pesos will be deducted by the total adjustments decreasing income of 199,900 pesos. It will be equivalent to the adjusted income before income taxes of 422,100 pesos. It will be multiplied by the effective income tax rate of 30%. So 422,100 pesos times 30% is equivalent to the adjusted income tax expense of 126,630 pesos. This will be deducted by the income tax expense per books of 168,000 pesos. So 126,630 pesos minus 168,000 is equivalent to the adjustment to reduce income tax expense of negative 41,370 pesos. After all the additions and deductions to the unadjusted income before income taxes, the necessary correcting entries for the last additional information is a debit of income taxes payable of 41,370 and a credit of income tax expense of 41,370. Now let us go over with the second requirement, which is preparing the corrected statement of financial position as of November 30, 2017 and the corrected statement of income for the year ended November 30, 2017. Now, here's the corrected statement of financial position of J Corporation as of November 30, 2017. For the current asset, we have cash of 150,000 pesos, which was from the previous statement of financial position. Marketable securities at cost of 60,000 pesos, which is from the previous statement of financial position, less the allowance for reduction to market of 5,000 pesos, which is from the first correcting entry. So 60,000 pesos minus 5,000 pesos is equal to 55,000 pesos. Accounts receivable of 450,000 pesos is from the previous statement of financial position, less allowance for doubtful accounts of 36,000 pesos, which is the uncollectible receivables. So 450,000 pesos minus 36,000 pesos is equivalent to 414,000 pesos. Inventories is 442,000 pesos. It is composed of 430,000 of inventories from the previous statement of financial position plus the 12,000 pesos from the third correcting entry. Prepaid insurance of 18,000 pesos is also composed of 15,000 pesos of prepaid insurance in the previous statement of financial position plus 3,000 pesos from the fourth correcting entry. Adding all current assets will result to total current assets of 1,079,000 pesos. For the non-current asset, we only have property, plant, and equipment of 450,000 pesos. It is composed of 426,000 pesos of PPE from the previous statement of financial position plus 24,000 pesos from the sixth correcting entry, less the accumulated depreciation of 42,400 pesos, which is also composed of 40,000 of the accumulated depreciation from the previous statement of financial position plus 2,400 from the sixth correcting entry. Total current assets of 1,079,000 pesos plus the non-current asset of 407,600 pesos is equal to total assets of 1,486,600 pesos. For the liabilities and shareholders' equity, for the current liabilities, we have accounts payable and accrued expenses of 614,500 pesos. It is composed of 592,000 of the accounts payable and accrued expenses from the previous statement of financial position plus 22,500 from the fifth correcting entry. Estimated liability from lawsuit of 50,000 pesos, which is from the eighth correcting entry. Income taxes payable of 126,630 pesos, which is composed of 168,000 of income taxes payable from the previous statement of financial position minus the 41,370, which is from the ninth correcting entry. Adding all three will result to total current liabilities of 791,130 pesos. For the shareholders' equity, we have ordinary share capital of 400,000 pesos plus retained earnings of 295,470 pesos. We will get a total shareholders' equity of 695,470. So total current liabilities of 791,130 pesos plus the total shareholders' equity of 695,470 pesos is equal to the total liabilities and shareholders' equity of 1,486,600 pesos. Now we have the statement of profit or loss and comprehensive income or the corrected statement of income of J Corporation for the year ended November 30, 2017. We have a net sales of 2,950,000 from the previous statement of income, minus the cost of sales of 1,634,000, which is composed of 1,670,000 of cost of sales from the previous statement of income, minus 36,000 of allowance for doubtful accounts or the uncollectible receivables. So 2,950,000 minus 1,634,000 is equal to the gross profit of 1,316,000 pesos. Now let us compute for the total operating expenses. So we have selling and administrative expenses of 646,500 pesos. This is composed of 650,000 pesos of selling and administrative expense from the previous statement of income minus 23,000 from the second correcting entry minus 3,000 from the fourth correcting entry and plus 22,500 pesos from the fifth correcting entry. We have depreciation expense of 42,400. This is composed of 40,000 depreciation expense from the previous statement of income plus 2,400 from the sixth correcting entry. And we have research and development expense. We have 150,000 pesos. This is composed of 30,000 of research and development expense from the previous statement of income plus 120,000 from the seventh correcting entry. Adding all three will result to total operating expenses of 838,900 pesos. The total operating expenses of 838,900 pesos will be deducted from the gross profit of 1,316,000 pesos. That will equal to operating income of 477,100 pesos. We have the other charges of unrealized loss on trading securities of 5,000 pesos, which is from the first correcting entry, and estimated loss from the lawsuit of 50,000 pesos from the eighth correcting entry. Adding two, we'll get a total other charges of 55,000 pesos. This will be deducted from the operating income of 477,100 pesos. It will be equivalent to the net income before income taxes of 422,100. This will be multiplied by 30%, so we'll get the 126,630 pesos of provision for income taxes. Provision for income taxes of 126,630 pesos will be deducted from the net income before income taxes of 422,100 pesos. This will get a result of the net income after taxes of 295,470.
어릴 적엔 비가 오는 게 싫었어. 운동장 밖에 엄마들 속에 안긴 너를 볼 때